Welcome to Brandon Debunks the World. So yeah, put on your swimmies because we're going to dive headfirst into the shallow end. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and visit us on Patreon, or the bank's going to take the family farm. On November 22nd, 1963, at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time in Dallas, Texas, some colossal f***ups were made, and all hell broke loose, setting in motion one of the biggest conspiracies since some senators knifed a guy to death back in ancient Rome. So the main point of every conspiracy with JFK is the number of shots fired, when, and by who. There were 2 rifles discharged that day, and Oswald was responsible for both of them. If that sounds confusing, it's not. So let's drive through a red light drinking from a glass bottle and see where this train wreck goes. Everyone knows this attention-seeking psycho who is apparently really proud of his mail. This guy created about 4,700 rabbit holes by running off to Russia and Mexico in his vain attempt to rabble-rouse the proletariats and go against old lady liberty. But Russia in the 60s sucked, like holy socks and TP rations sucked. So he bagged a bride of the Ruski variety and shagged ass back to the homeland. Not a bad looking gal. At this point, you gotta know the FBI, CIA, and probably KG used to be are watching this guy. And he probably liked the attention and the paranoia it brought because he's a weirdo like that. So, being a little disillusioned by his trip, he had some pent-up rage as one does, which he later vented on this guy, Edwin Walker. Major General Big Nuts Edwin motherfucking Walker, by taking a cheap shot through the window like some Antifa garbage can on a minority business. But Major General Walker was a badass and a stand-up guy. Matrix dodging the bullet, not even spilling his beer. Walker walked away to walk again another day. Looks like he'd enjoy a scotch and National Secret O's for breakfast. So there's no doubt Oswald is a fucking dipshit, bent on making a name for himself no matter how and sticking it to the man, I guess. Flash forward to November 22nd, 1963. Oswald is perched with his long barrel and scope, hanging over Dealey Plaza like a bad idea, waiting for his golden moment. Now Brandon, you might say, where is this second rifle you spoke of? And why should I care? I can answer one of those, the other one's on you, brother. So back in 1992, a writer named Bonar Menninger, I'm not going to take the low road here. He employed the help of what I assume is the Second Amendment advocate, Howard Donahue, not to be confused with Phil Donahue, who's definitely not to be confused with Leslie Nielsen. Howard, is a gunsmith, sharpshooter, and ballistics expert. So he's got some Texas street cred, and he knows a parabolic arc when he sees one. They together laid out in 361 pages of mind-numbing detail how this shit went down that day in Dealey Plaza. The following is the most logical, most simple, and the only postulation that no one talks about, no one even mentions. They just ignore it like Tiffany Trump at a wedding. But they'll make a 347 push-pin string photo and news clipping collage to somehow fit Oswald in Antarctica meeting with the Greys and a time-traveling Betty White, but they just won't look at where the kill shot actually came from. So, on to the theory. So at this point in history, the Secret Service were, well, here's some publicity non-aiming dick and or gut shots. No one here is really Johnny on the mark, and I'm not even sure if they're fucking aiming or not. This looks like a terrible example of gun safety and marksmanship, all while wearing a really constricting business suit. It looks like fucking central casting. Shoot from the hip, G-man, fuck it, you'll hit something. And they had a sordid history at best of frat-like behavior, often late drunken parties with ladies and all the trimmings, and trust me, this plays in later, I think. So, in the trailing car behind Kennedy in the motorcade, you got a carload of hungover, sketched out Secret Service agents watching an open ride through Dallas, where Kennedy had said something like, "If these fools blow gas and smoke me, it'll be in Dallas, son." Nah, he didn't really say that, but it was something like that, and trust me, this will matter too. And this is where Oswald has his non-metaphorical existential freakout, and so does the rest of America. Oswald's third shot missed completely and struck the pavement, causing debris to strike a bystander as described in the Warren Report. As soon as Oswald witnessed this round strike the ground in succession, he witnessed another gunman fire the fatal shot. In his mind, he was part of a conspiracy now. Like, a for real conspiracy. Like, for real. In his mind, he's now a patsy. I am sure his brain raced at the thought of who fired the final shot, if not him. So what happened during those split seconds? In theory, a Secret Service agent by the name of George Hickey, who was a mechanic by trade and not trained in the guarding or weapons position he found himself in that morning, was a victim of fate. Cruel, cruel fate, you poor bastard. As the first 2 rounds struck the president and governor in the car ahead, several Secret Service agents rose up in the trailing car. Hickey with an AR-15 carrying fragmentation rounds stood at attention as well. The driver in a panic accelerated, tossing Hickey back and letting slip the mother of all f***ups on the job. This ain't jamming the printer or forgetting to put napkins in the bag. This ain't the first day at work forklift video on Facebook Reels. This is I killed the goddamn boss, the leader of the free f***ing world. Now, before you raise an eyebrow, let's look at the shady McFuckery that Secret Service & Co. did right after these events, and a few notable comments. First thing, it was a fight to get the autopsy done in Dallas. Like, literally, nearly a fight. They wanted his body gone ASAP, back in DC. And why? Well, probably because the brain was full of fragments from a fragmenting round. The original x-rays showed this, but since the brain went conveniently stolen or missing, we'll just accept what we got, an x-ray. The magic bullet just happened to turn up on a gurney at the hospital, looking like it was shot through feathers and flawless, and instead of having been through a spine, a shoulder blade, a leg, a seat, 3 feet of human internals, and a wrist, it seems a little odd. And another fun piece of the puzzle, after LBJ was sworn in, just a night later on the White House grounds, he was almost spider-holed by a Secret Service agent. Nearly gave him their patented from-the-hip gut shot of agony. In his words, these bastards are going to kill me too. Fun note, LBJ liked to hold meetings while he did the deuce, taking the Browns to the Super Bowl. He also liked to talk about his little Johnson. Poor Lady Bird. She was a looker in the day, but slowly became Mr. Burns, sadly. Anywho, Team Secret Service want to protect their own. There's enough around Oswald to spin a great story, and the Warren report was a cover-up for their flock. I can see how he was confused and shocked and felt like a patsy. From his eyes, it was an assassination he was only half part to, and I can see the report ignored this fact completely. Hell, the term conspiracy theorist came from the CIA in this very report, but we'll never know because of this asshat. An all-around Harvey Weinstein Prometheus, Jack Gone Kerouac Ruby, the man who shot the man who shot the man. He was dying of cancer, a half-paranoid schizophrenic, strip club owner, and heavy drinker. But it's the 60s, so scotch and vodka with ice cream and pancakes, yay. Ruby had no skin in the game, but he saw a way to be a hero, and everyone wants to be the hero. For f***'s sake, that's why Booth shot Lincoln. Hell, war was over, dipshit, but long live the South or whatever. Ruby didn't know the extent of how much he fucked up with that well-placed from-the-hip gut shot into Oswald's navel. The Bond gut shot is a registered trademark of Secret Service Inc. He single-handedly removed any chance of hearing any side but the crafted one. So there you go. All those years of conspiracies, all those books and reports written and sold, the 10 million shows and videos on the subject were the best distraction that will never have an answer. What is more likely? A huge multinational conspiracy involving everyone from LBJ to the coroner, the FBI and CIA, Russia and Cuba, Mexico, Ruby and the mob, the New World Order and aliens, or hungover George fell back and let a round off that hit the man 15 feet in front of him, a man whose head would have been around about hip height. The danger zone for 1960s marksmanship, then followed up by your typical cast of alphabet boys falling in line to save the nation's face and their reputation. Thank you for watching Brandon Debunks the World. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and check us out on Patreon, or not. It's your call, no pressure. Comment down below, give us some ideas for more shows, or just vent from the safety of your basement about how wrong I am with no repercussions or, real-world consequences.